A very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the World Cup show here on KTN. It's exactly 9 days to go before the biggest showdown in the world of football. Of course, we'll be walking with you throughout that journey to take a look at, what to expect in this year's edition of the World Cup that is being held in 3 different countries. That is the USA, Mexico, and Canada. And today, we'll be taking a look at some of the groups that we have and try to take a look at probably some of the teams that will make it from the group. I'm not alone here in studio. Davis Beria, uko vipi?
Niko salama, mambo mazuri.
Off day imekatizwa kidogo.
Imekatizwa kidogo.
Yes.
Wajua amenipigia simu leo asubuhi. Niambia umefika? Niambia nimefika wapi? Bro, unajui kwamba tunaanza leo. Tulia, tutafika. Lakini wiki imekuwa nzuri.
Cedric Musumba, after enjoying the Champions League final, sasa we are moving away from that. I know you enjoyed PSG winning the final.
He's still happy.
Oh, he's still happy.
He's still happy. You can tell.
So now we are moving to the biggest stage in world football, the World Cup. Are you excited?
Very excited because it's a neutral assessment, not an avenue that will actually try to erase the difficult kind of moment that we have had when the leagues were coming to the tail end, starting from the local league whereby FC Leopard actually broke their pot at the door. In European, actually, Arsenal also broke their pot at the door. And those are the kind of the cultivation that we'll be looking upon. Moving forward, and the World Cup will be one of the healing therapy to those guys who feel like maybe they miss it out on that particular junction.
You're saying World Cup is therapy.
Daniel Kariuki, healing therapy. Healing therapy. Don't miss the word healing.
Healing therapy.
But now again, you might support a team that World Cup ita perform vibaya. Will it heal you really?
Kariuki uko aje?
Niko poa sana.
Yes, are you excited for the World Cup?
Definitely. And I'm glad that I'm glad that World Cup is here. But now what is very interesting is the timings when the games are going to be played. Kuna ile inapigwa 4 AM, kuna ile inapigwa 5, kuna ya 7 AM, kuna ya 1 AM. Sasa ni wewe mwenyewe ujipange. Wewe mwenyewe ujipange.
Game ya 7 utakuja
7 AM.
Utawatch ball.
Unaona game ama
Ngoja. Unaona game unaona soap.
It is actually very interesting, but of course it's the timings because it's in the Mexico, USA and Canada. So uko wakati sisi tuko mchana, wao wako usiku. So hapa tukiwa asubuhi, wao kule ndio maneno sasa ndio wakati wao. But I'm happy to be here for the show actually.
Hassan Juma, umekuaje?
Football is therapeutic first, because now we're moving away from club football to international. 104 matches, one of the biggest tournament because of it's been expanded. Then
48 teams.
48 teams. 3 hosts. It's never happened before. This is big. It's huge. It's the biggest tournament. Yeah. Hizo timings ndio kidogo zileta shida. Hizo timings.
Before we begin the show, Hassan, before we get into the thick of things of looking at Group A and Group B, leo tunauliza watu nini?
Leo tunauliza by today I almost said tonight. Football sleep. So today our focus is on Group A and Group B. Which 2 teams will make it to the next round from Group A and Group B? Which 2 teams will make it to the next round from Group A and Group B? Because today our focus is on Group A and Group B. So of course, you can talk to us. I'm on X at Hassan Juma. Robbie is at R_Kenya. Karaoke, Dani, Karaoke najua lazima confirm Dani Karaoke tumeneza kwa Dani Karaoke machungwa because pia uko kwa agriculture sana.
Dani Karaoke 254.
Hii ni yako? Sio ile ilikuwa imepotea?
Kabisa. Dani Karaoke 254.
Dennis Otachi is the producer. Hawa jamaa wako kwa mitandao.
Hawajui maneno ya digital.
Adoki anasaidia na kana najua mambo digital.
Digital first.
Sedo. Your handle?
You know Facebook. Ama ni Twitter.
Just Cedric Musumba. Cedric Musumba.
Vile anaguna menu yuko kweli? Beria? Davis Beria. At Davis Beria. Of course, you can text us SMS 22151. And also you can call us
Yes, you can call in. The number to call in is at the bottom end of your screen. Call us. Give us your views on Group A and Group B. Who do you think is going to make it out from that group? So, gentlemen, before we get to Group A and B, Davis, World Cup iko hapa. Which team are you supporting?
Mimi nakwenda na Ufaransa. Kikosi chao kizuri na ni kikosi ambacho kama Mwafrika unaweza shabiana nacho kwa urahisi. Lakini pia safu zote zipo vizuri vyema. Angalia wachezaji ambao wataanza first 11, angalia wachezaji ambao wako kwenye benchi. Kwa hivyo ni baadhi ya mataifa ambayo yatapeana ushindani mkali, lakini pia Afrika sikosi mwakilishi. Nitawapigia upatu zaidi Senegal ambao ni mabingwa tetezi kombe la AFCON ambalo hatima yake iliamuliwa kwenye boardroom, lakini hizo ndizo timu ambazo nitakuwa napigia upatu.
Cedric Musumba, which team are you supporting?
Of course, I've had a team that right now it's in the process of rebuild, and it's no longer closer to be any time closer to the favorites. But being there an African, I think I will be running first number one behind the African team, hoping that maybe the first time since last World Cup we tried until we are eliminated at the semi-final. This time around we are hoping so that maybe those who were eliminated in the semi-final, they might make it into final. Or if they are not the one, we have other 9 teams that have qualified that can carry the African banner to that particular height. And I will be behind all the African teams, regardless of how they are playing, until they are out of the tournament. There is when now I will have to see where I focus my minds to. But so all African teams are behind.
Morocco is your team?
Probably.
When you are changing goalposts.
No, I'm all behind all African team. Morocco being among those African teams, probably they might pick my mind along the way.
Karaoke?
That's interesting.
Which team are you supporting?
Well, probably. I'm going to be supporting Senegal. Mberi amewaita defending champions.
Wa AFCON.
Lakini unajua ilibadilishwa. Defending side hawa wa probably. Kwa sasa ni hawa wa probably wa Morocco. But I'll be going with Senegal. Group I, if I'm not wrong. And
same group as France.
As France, very true. And also hiyo ingine ni Portugal. Portugal.
Moreno.
For obvious reasons.
Bruno Fernandes. Hassan, which team are you supporting?
I have a soft spot for Brazil, having been there during the 2014 World Cup when they were the hosts. Yeah, so I mean Brazil.
When you were hammered 7.
It doesn't matter. I mean, well, the fact that I was there and
I think they hosted you well.
They hosted me well. I can't complain. So I have a soft spot for Brazil.
The words can tell.
Whatever that means.
But maybe this time round Brazil might have a good time.
We'll have to wait and see. Kaka, wacha nikufungulie server.
Server.
Huyu jamaa kufungulia server mbona huwa hana password yeye? Hana password.
Yes, server.
Sasa mnasoma mambo ya digital na hata mwenyewe ajui digital.
And the question we are asking is about...
Because today our focus is on Group A and Group B. So which two teams will qualify to the next round from Group A and Group B? So our focus is just Group A and B.
Yeah, definitely. And Group A...
Shika server.
Shika
server.
Group A is Mexico.
Yes, so let's begin with Group A. And remember, this is where we'll have the first match of the FIFA World Cup 2026 with South Africa taking on Mexico in the opening game of the 2026 World Cup. Remember, these two teams, they've played before in the opening game of the FIFA World Cup, and that was in 2010. So Group A, we do have Mexico, South Africa, South Korea, and Czech Republic. Yes, a very, very interesting group, and for neutrals, they will say it's a balanced group. Cedric Musumba, what do you expect from this group?
Probably it might be looked that they will be hitting within their weight. And if you go by how these teams have been playing previously, some of them, they have just been celebratory if they happen to advance either to quarterfinals or semi-finals. That would have actually their highest peak on that particular tournament. But this time round, Mexico being the host, and I've seen them playing actually back at home for the build-up matches, they are trying to bring in a different kind of aspect. When they play, they're playing with a purpose. Maybe not a reason because they are really being rallied behind by their fans, and they will want to advance that agenda to a very high stage. It's not a pushover to the mere fact they will be playing at home, and each and every time they will have their 12th man actually behind them. South Korea, they have been there, we remember, since the year 2002 when they they hosted World Cup, and they played very well. I think they were eliminated at the quarterfinals, and it's a team that anyone could actually be watching simply because it has always carried silent players, but when they hit hard, and they hit with a purpose. So it's not a team that we can really try to underrate in any given major tournament like World Cup, because they have been there with the experience they are carrying, and they know how actually to grind points as the tournament sides into the same as
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic. It still reminds me the recall of 1998, kind of the result they grinded when they actually present in the World Cup, and they are still amassing that kind of stature moving forward. Though this time round, it's not the side kind of magnitude that they will embrace simply because there are no names in that team that they are carrying to the World Cup. And more so, some essence they will say that a team that embrace such kind of a tournament, more so in the World Cup without name, is a team that comes out as a surprise. Though they call the dark horses in the given kind of tournaments.
Davis Mberia, South Africa tumeona wamebeba players wengi ambao ni local based. Ukiangalia, they have almost 8 or 9 players from Sundowns who are the African Champions League winners. They have players from Pirates, Orlando Pirates ambao walishinda league. What are you expecting from Hugo Bruce men?
Nahisi kwamba Hugo Bruce ni baadhi ya makocha ambao tactically wako sawa, na ukiangalia michuano ambayo imeshiriki, hasa michuano ya ufunguzi, wote wawili kumka kwamba wamefungua mechi katika makala iliyopita dhidi ya Mexico. Kwa hivyo ni mechi ya ufunguzi ambayo itampa sana nafasi ya kuwapa mashabiki wa Afrika Kusini kwamba matumaini wanaweza piga hatua zaidi ya makundi. Lakini ukiangalia pia kikosi chao cha nyumbani ni wachezaji ambao tayari wanajuana, ni wachezaji ambao wanacheza ligi moja, na ni ligi ambayo si ligi ambayo hadhi yake unaweza linganisha na ligi zingine Afrika, ni baadhi ya ligi bora zaidi barani Afrika. Na ukizungumzia baadhi ya wachezaji, mzungumzie kipa wao Williams ambaye amefanya vizuri sana katika ligi yao nyumbani, mzungumzie mchezaji wa Orlando Pirates ambaye ni Pilaso, na ni baadhi ya washambulizi bora ambao wamewahi kuwa katika ligi hiyo. Kwa hivyo kocha Hugo Bruce atakuwa anahakikisha kwamba mechi zao mbili ziwe mechi ambazo zitawapa nafasi ya kuprogress, lakini hata hivyo pia watakuwa hasa wanatumia mashindano haya kama njia moja wapo pia ya hawa wachezaji kupata nafasi nyingi zaidi kutoka zaidi ya ligi.
Kariuki, Mexico have also proved that they are not pushovers. Remember, every edition, tukiingia kila edition, they are always there in the World Cup. Yes, and they are not going to be pushovers.
I think that part of the world really produces good football. You talk of Mexico, you talk of Argentina, you talk of Uruguay, pia kuna wachezaji wazuri. But when you talk about Mexico, there is a way that they set up their team, and they play some good attacking football. Well, they have not won the FIFA World Cup, but they push all the way to round of 16, and there is a way that the problem with them getting to round of 16 then wanatolewa. I hope that this time round they are going to try to push it all the way hata kama wafike quarters, wasitolewe tena kwa round of 16 like we have seen before.
Cedric,
sorry Robbie.
Yes.
Talking of Mexico, you know there's a goalkeeper, the host.
Bado tuko tu kwa Mexico.
Ochoa. Guillermo Ochoa.
Yes.
You know that guy tulikuwa tunaongea na Kare kabla tukuje kwa show. Is one player hautamsikia for 4 years. But after 4, you know, every 4 years Ochoa utamwona kwa lineup World Cup. Lakini club football ni nini hautamsikia. He is one of those outstanding players. Alafu pia ukiangalia amecheza, I think one of those players amecheza games nyingi sana za World Cup.
Yes, Sedo, speaking of Ochoa, we've seen what he's done with this Mexican side. Each edition that we've watched him play, he's always come out na kusaidia, because he's one player that normally shows up when this Mexican side needs him.
Yeah, he has actually transited with the World Cup since the era of, I think, 24 teams now to 34 teams. And he 48. Has 48, sorry. Yes. And he has amassed the magnitude of playing World Cup. Although the dynamics of the current World Cup, it doesn't have anyone actually that is carrying the card and maybe the blueprint of what will happen, given also the stretch of the number of matches this player will be subjected to. So whatever the characteristic that the player has had previously might actually not be the same thing that we might be presenting coming to this particular World Cup, given the dynamics that this World Cup will be carrying. One, there are so much many games that a team gonna face before you really hit the final. Remember, there's a round of 24. That's a knockout stage. A previous World Cup, teams will play knowing that I only have a knockout one and then I'm in a quarterfinal. These are two sets of pair of knockout. You must actually reach 24, play it very well, and knock out a team. Then thereafter, there's another knockout that is waiting for you in the round of 16. If you don't play well, remember, knockout is not a pushover. Knockout has got no formula. In knockout, any team that even is an underdog can really knock you out, depending on her tactics that they employ in that particular 90 or 21, 121 minutes plus. So a knockout game in round of 24 and the round of 16 will be a game changer in this particular World Cup. And that's where now the Ochoa comes in from. Well, it's good in penalty. If I remember when we actually was breaking over into World Cup, we knew that goalkeeper through World Cup. And even clubs actually started signing him because of those penalty saving. So if Mexico can qualify to round of 24, and they play Ochoa, they play into Ochoa's tactics, I actually watch that he can carry that particular team to different stages up to maybe quarterfinal, or maybe if they're lucky enough because they're playing at home, maybe up to semifinals.
Pia katika kikosi cha Mexico ukiangalia safu yao ya kati, defensive midfield na attacking midfield wako vizuri sana. Kuna Raul Jimenez ambaye amekuwa mchezaji mzuri sana ligi kuu Uingereza akiwa na Fulham, na ukiangalia pia kule AC Milan kuna mchezaji ambaye yuko pale kati, Gimenez, amefanya vizuri sana licha ya AC Milan kutokuwa na msururu mzuri zaidi msimu huu. Amekuwa baadhi ya wachezaji ambao wamekuwa nguzo zaidi kwa klabu yao hasa kufanya vizuri. Kwa hivyo ni baadhi ya wachezaji ambao watakuwa naunda ile safu ya kati ya kushambulia na kuziba pale nyuma kuhakikisha kwamba Mexico hasa wanapiga hatua. Lakini kumbuka kwamba Mexico katika rekodi yao wamekuwa wazuri zaidi wakiandaa michuano hii. Nikipitia tu rekodi yao nikidurusu, nilikuwa naona mwaka 1970 walienda zaidi ya hatua ya robo finali, na hii inamaanisha kwamba wakiwa nyumbani wana nguvu fulani, motisha hasa kutoka kwa mashabiki, na ni baadhi ya timu ambazo hasa zitapewa kipaumbele kupiga hatua zaidi ya makundi.
Kariuki, yes. Umefungwa sava?
Sava ipo, lakini unaweza enda to the other team na refresh na kuretrieve.
Na kuretrieve. Yes, Sedo, let's talk about South Korea. This is also a team that has probably, players that are of the same wavelength, na ni watu ambao watasumbua sana. Because they don't have an outright star aside from Son, but they have players who are willing to die for the national team.
The beauty of such a tournament like World Cup and any other big tournament, with the Africa Cup of Nations, that they give a breather, or maybe they give a room for stars to be born. And in this kind of magnitude, teams like South Korea, they are not necessarily coming into World Cup knowing that if they win, actually World Cup is a bonus to them. But they are coming to World Cup with the kind of the player that they are carrying, knowing very well those players wants actually to amass the world stature and maybe gains the momentum of being signed by bigger clubs that have actually been carried into their minds and their hopes. And that's why you'll see the likes of Kim In-ji, who has been actually at Bayern Munich, will not be in so many pundits' mouth, simply because he's already has actually break the even and he's outside there in the world. But any other player that South Korea will be bringing in, remember they also have another player who plays for Wolves. Those are the kind of the silent killer that might be coming to kill in the team. And their style of play, same as the style of Japan. The Asian kind of play with those kind of, there's a time I refer to
high intensity.
High intensity, they show the stability. The ascent of gravity actually gives them so high magnitude and the stability in that particular pitch. I remember Japan playing German. No one actually could think that Japan in the last World Cup could beat or eliminate German.
That was in 2018.
Yeah, but the stretch that the stamina that those players brought into the team actually tired down the Germanese team, and they would make German look like an amateur. Same style of play is what the South Korea would employ when it comes to such kind of magnitude. Just wait for the opponent, bring in the speed that is actually an extraordinary kind of speed, and play not necessarily to the opponent style, but try to advance your agenda and gain as the momentum of the game grows.
Yes, of course, for South Korea, the coach is Hong Myung-bo, and then when you take a look at how well probably they performed at the previous World Cups at the group stage they finished 4th in 2002, and then the World Cup qualification. This will be the 12th time they are playing in the World Cup. That is about South Korea. When you take a look at Mexico, remember we are taking a look at Group A. When you take a look at Mexico and how they perform, the coach is Javier Aguirre, and then the best World Cup, they got into the quarterfinals in 1970 and 1986, and this will be their 18th World Cup. Very, very impressive. South Africa. Let's take a look at South Africa, and the coach is Hugo Bruce, and then the best they've performed at the World Cup was in the group stage in 1998, 2002, and 2010, and then this will be their 4th World Cup. They got there in 1998, 2002, 2010, as well as 2026. That is about South Africa. The other team that is in Group A is Czech Republic, and the coach is Miroslav Kubek. They were runners-up in 1934 and 1962. Hiyo ilikuwa kitambo sana, and then the World Cup qualifications. This will be the 10th appearance at the biggest stage. Yes, 1934, 1962. Kenya bado hata iko imepata independence. Yes, those are the profiles of the teams in Group A. Hassan, mitandao wanasemaje?
Mitandao wanasemaje? Kareki, because today our focus is on Group A and Group B.
Labda unaweza kukumbusha swali.
So today our focus of course is on Group A and Group B. Which two teams will make it to the next round from Group A and Group B? Which two teams will make it to the next round from Group A and Group B? We've managed to break Group A, so just talk to us. Karuki, kuna messages zote?
Kwa 22151, South Africa and South Korea would qualify in Group A. Hajasema jina lake. And then we asema check 1-2, Professor Celeste Saulo. Hajasema timu gani ambayo itaweza kuwa kwenye group, kwa sababu tunaweza kuhusiana na Group A and B. Na umeshaweka flags pale. Kuna Mexico, South Africa, South Korea na Czech Republic. That's Group A. And then Group B there is Canada. Hii ingine inaitwaje hii?
Qatar, ni Qatar.
Qatar, Bosnia,
Bosnia
and Switzerland.
Kwenye Group B. Hizo ndio timu ambazo tutakuwa tukishughulikia.
Let's take a break. When you come back, of course, we'll look at Group B. Who are in Group B? We'll break it down for you. But, of course, talk to us. Which two teams will qualify from Group A and Group B? We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. Of course, today we are on Group A and Group B. Which two teams, you're asking you online, on our socials, which two teams will qualify from Group A and zitafuzu kwa raundi nyingine ya mchujo kutoka kundi hilo la A na B, makundi ambayo tunaangazia hii leo katika makala haya ya kombe la dunia. Una messages zote?
South Africa and South Korea will qualify. We are Brighton and Bosso. And then Canada and Switzerland would be the qualified teams in Group B.
Group B.
America zote mbili, A na B. And then from A, Mexico and South Africa. And from B, Canada and Switzerland. Huyo ni Michael from Siaya. Then South Africa and South Korea will be the teams in Group A. Hizo tu baadhi ambazo zina ingia hapa kwenye 22151.
Okay.
Yes, you can text us at 22151. It's totally free. Text us, tell us which teams will qualify from Group A and Group B. Remember, Group A has Mexico, who are the host, South Africa, South Korea, and the Czech Republic. And then Group B has Switzerland, Qatar, Bosnia, as well as Canada, who are also the host. This is in Group B. But before we get into Group B, Davis Mberia, umesema unataka kuongelea kidogo South Africa. South Korea.
Ni baadhi ya timu ambazo wengi waziangalii sana, lakini pia ni baadhi ya timu ambazo kufuzu katika kombe la dunia, msururu wao katika bara Asia kama sijakosea, walikuwa na msururu mzuri zaidi, manake walikuwa kidedea katika kundi ambalo walicheza ndani, lakini pia kundi la pamoja waliongoza. Lakini pakubwa zungumzia kikosi, baadhi ya wachezaji ambao hasa watakuwa wanaangaliwa zaidi ni mchezaji hasa wa PSG ambaye ameshinda kombe la klabu bingwa barani Ulaya, Lee Kang-in ni baadhi ya wachezaji ambao katika safu ya kati wamekuwa wazuri zaidi. Lakini mzungumzie kigogo mwenyewe ambaye amecheza klabu ya Tottenham Hotspur na sasa hivi anasakata soka lake Marekani. Wakati akicheza Spurs ni baadhi ya wachezaji ambao walikuwa wanategemewa zaidi, mtindo wa pale ulikuwa unamruhusu hasa kucheza kama hasa pale mshambulizi wa kushoto, lakini sasa hivi ukiangalia katika mechi ambazo anacheza katika klabu yake kule Marekani, anacheza kama mshambulizi wa kati. Hii inakuonyesha kwamba kocha wa South Korea ana nafasi nzuri zaidi ya kumtumia kokote. Kwa hivyo wale wapinzani ambao watakuwa wanapambana na hasa Korea Kusini hawatajua hasa Song Heung-min anaanza kati ama anaanza kushoto. Lakini pia kunaye mchezaji ambaye Cedric alimtaja, baadhi ya wachezaji wazuri pale katika klabu ya Bayern Munich, na amekuwa baadhi ya nguzo kuu hasa ya kocha Company kumtumia zaidi hasa katika mechi za nyumbani za Bundesliga. Kwa hivyo ni hasa timu ambayo wengi waingazie zaidi, lakini kuna uwezekano ikaenda hata zaidi ya hatua ya mwondoano.
Cedric Musumba, Bafana. Yes, one of the 10 African countries, of course, that will be in the World Cup. What are you expecting from them?
Not the beauty with the South Africans, the hype that they carry around their team actually wins them a trophy even before the tournament itself starts. And you go by how they have decorated their team, it has made me even to go and try to look at those names and where they trade and everything. You realize that they don't regard any player or a player that are really trading outside their country. And they have gone for majority of Mamelodi Sundowns players. I think there are 8 or 7 of them. Then there's some few from Kaizer Chiefs. And remember, these are players that we saw how they really traded in Africa Cup of Nations, and if they carried a similar style how they played in Africa Cup of Nations, these are different stages at the World Cup. I don't necessarily think if Foster, who would miss so many chances at the rightful point, center forward, will actually carry the magnitude of putting goals behind the nets of the South African opponents. The likes of Modao and Modiba, who actually traded from the wing. I don't think if World Cup
sport for Mokoena.
Over Teboho Mokoena in that particular midfield, if they create those dead balls, that's what we actually has guaranteed him and earned him a name. If they can create those dead balls within the dangerous areas, he's actually blessed and decorated enough to give them goals. But the question is South Africa team that they are carrying to World Cup have the magnitude of creating chances for Mokoena? Can they drive that ball towards the opponents that we have in the World Cup danger areas and create those folds that Mokoena will be there to bury the balls behind the net? We had the likes of Mudao and Modiba that I've mentioned that are trading the wing back. If pressure is actually onto them, and we saw it in Africa Cup of Nations, they don't drive up front. And we need them to be driving and supporting the attacking line in that particular South Africa.
With South Africa that I feel like there'll be a bit of stage fright. In the sense that most of the players, they don't command, they don't have the experience to play in such, a high magnitude kind of a tournament.
I don't necessarily think so, because how they have sold their league outside there, they compare, even in Africa, they still compare their league to the EPLs of this world. They compare their leagues to League One of this world. Now, what they are going to do outside there is try to tell a story and try to make South Africans believe that their league is quite comparable to what they have really been sold by their federation. So as the Mokoena, the Mondimba, the kind of Foster, going out there, they need to go and tell a different story. That if our league, how we have hyped it, Mamelodi Sundowns is just from winning African Championship. It has got 8 good players in South African team. And that's not the first team, the first time such a kind of team has been carried. Well, we saw in 2010, Spain carrying all the Barcelona players, and they ended up winning. So as to tell us so that their league is what they normally sell to us, they need to go out to World Cup and win with the Mamelodi Sundowns World Cup for us.
The same applies for England. I mean, their league is so superior. It's so hyped, the way the journalists hype the league. But when it comes to the Three Lions, I mean, they fluff the lines.
But again,
when it matters
South
most.
Africa has been out of World Cup for quite some time. We talk of 2010 being the last time that, and they were the host, and then the they were eliminated at the group stage. It goes to show that there is a lot to be done. And again, most of the South Africans most of the players from South Africa hawachezi ligi za nje sana sana, as Sedo had
they only have one player who plays in the US.
Yeah.
But the rest they play
ni wa nyumbani. So definitely again, I think they need to also export talents huko nje, ndio at least they can also have that kind of experience that I know so and so how he plays. I think that one is what will help.
We used to see it with Steven Pienaar when he was playing for Everton.
Even Benny McCarthy, yes, when he was playing before he.
They also have another player that has been relegated.
Before we move, Hassan.
Hello, Masinde. Hello, Masinde.
Habari ya leo.
Salama sana, vipi kwema?
Niko poa, Kitale Town tunawafuatilia kabisa.
Vizuri, leo tunaangazia, tumeanza makala safari ya kombe la dunia. Tunaangazia kundi la A na B. Kundi la A ndio tunalichambua, sijui timu gani mbili ambazo unahisi zitafuzu kwa raundi nyingine ya mchujo kutoka katika kundi la A na B.
Kundi la A sijajua hizo timu vizuri, lakini mimi niko nataka kupigia Senegal kwamba itafika semi-final.
Sorry?
Timu ya Senegal itafika semi-final.
Senegal. Asante sana Masinde. Thanks. Asafi. Asante.
Simulize nani atashinda.
Nani atashinda World Cup? Ni France,
Hivyo Masinde.
Yes, that is Masinde, of course, giving us his prediction as well as saying that Senegal will get into the semi-final of World Cup 2026. So let's move on from Group A. Let's get into Group B. This is a group that has Canada, who are the hosts. There's Bosnia as well as Qatar and Switzerland. And it's a very interesting group. Before we get to dissect it, wacha tuangalie profiles za hizi team. Tuanze na Canada. When is this the first time they're taking part in the World Cup? Of course, no. They were there in the 1986 and as well as 2022 World Cup. The coach is Jesse Marsh, and then this will be the third time they're taking part at the World Cup. That is Canada. Let's move away from Canada. Let's get into Bosnia. Yes, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Yes, Bosnia. The coach is Sergej Barbarez, and this, of course, the best they've ever performed at the World Cup was in 2014, which they were in the group stages, and this will be the second time they are at the World Cup. That is Bosnia. Let's move to Qatar, the 2022 hosts of the World Cup. The coach is Julen Lopetegui, and then the best they've ever performed at the World Cup is when they hosted it and they got eliminated in the group stage, and this will be the second time they are at the World Cup. And we go to Cedric's third favorite team, Switzerland. The coach is Murat Yakin, and the best World Cup performance, they were in the quarterfinals in 1934, 1938, and 1954. This will be the 13th time they are performing, rather they are appearing at the World Cup. That is all about Switzerland. So let's take a look at these four teams. Davis Mberia. Yes, what are you expecting from Canada?
Canada, baadhi ya mataifa hasa ambayo yatakuwa yanaangaziwa si kutokana na ushindani ambayo taifa hili linalo, lakini kutokana na uwenyeji, manake wengi wa wachezaji watakuwa hasa nyumbani. Lakini baadhi ya wachezaji ambao watakuwa wanaangaziwa mle ni Alphonso Davies, ambaye amefanya vizuri sana katika klabu yake ya Bayern Munich. Kumbuka kwamba katika safari yao ya kufuzu katika nusu finali alikuwa baadhi ya wachezaji ambao kiangazia safu ile ya mikimbio ya wings ni baadhi ya wachezaji hasa wazuri zaidi na wanaweza tegemewa. Lakini pia kunaye Jonathan David ambaye ni baadhi pia ya vigogo wachezaji ambao wana uzoefu mkubwa sana katika hasa timu yao ya taifa ya Canada. Kwa hivyo nahisi kwamba katika hasa mechi yao ya kombe la dunia wakiwa nyumbani watalenga zaidi kwenda zaidi ya makundi, ikizingatiwa kwamba hii ni mara yao ya pili. Kwa hivyo watakuwa na tafuta sana hasa kuweka historia ya si tu kucheza nyumbani, bali pia kupiga hatua kwenda zaidi ya makundi na hata kwenda zaidi ya hatua ya mwondoano.
Remember, we are asking you which two teams do you think will make it out of the group, and that is in Group B. You can be part of this conversation. Text as the SMS is totally free. It's 22151. Text us, let us know which two teams will make it out of Group A and Group B. And also you can get to call in and give us your views on what you think about Group A and Group B. Now that we are still in Group B, Cedric Musumba, tuongele Switzerland. This is a team that always features at the World Cup. Remember, this will be the 13th time they are at the World Cup. What are you expecting from them?
They have actually qualities that can really make them search for, and they are so lucky enough to have featured in somehow say that quite presentable group. Because going to my understanding, I think if they happen to go past Canada, then the rest of the team, going by the magnitude and the qualities that they have, they can continue amassing and grind, and it will be quite easy for them to find the round of 24 if they really can tactically approach each and every game with this certain intent that is required. Remember the likes of their central midfielder, Granit Xhaka, and what he has come to do back at Sunderland in the EPL. He's a kind of a player who really rallies, is a team player who rallies players around him, and each and every time you do a mistake, he will remind you with a purpose to ensure that he grinds the result. My favorite player, whom and again we have followed so much, Bril Embolo. Yes, he's still in this particular squad, and you know, Embolo is a kind of a player who really bangs the goals at the rightful time. You provide him supply that he requires, he will not disappoint. Those are the players that you carry, kind of a kanji in the defense. So each and every department, that, not even forgetting the young summer in the goalpost, each and every department that particular team, at least it has got an experienced player who can really bring down the game and try to guide the youngsters in that particular team if the result is well needed. You go to the defense, Akanji is there with the experience he has had in Man City, now kindly at the Inter Milan, winning with Inter Milan the Serie A is an added advantage, and he's a player who knows well how to win trophies. Now this is a tournament. He goes there knowing that this is the only thing that is lacking into my cabinet. If I happen to win it, then I will have completed my cabinet. Same as to Granit Xhaka, yes. And then moving forward, the likes of Bril Embolo. And remember, they will be playing knowing that now they are at their sunset of their career. They need actually to oil it very well and surrender at the time when the people still needs them.
Kaka, tunataka kufungua sava ama kwanza tuongelee Switzerland?
Acha nifungue sava afu tuende Switzerland.
Alafu Biko Group B, yes. What Sedo is saying, Switzerland are going to very experienced players. But secondly, look at some of the teams, kama Qatar, you know, some of their players, they're talking about Group A, kama South Korea, some of their players how to ajua. But Switzerland, I mean, these are players wanacheza kwa some of
watched them for a very long time.
Watched them for a very long time, more experience. I think this is the right time for them to shine, to show us that, you know what, they can copy that club football, you know, they form in club football, kwa national team. Because, I mean, national teams sometimes, they don't perform so well.
Actually, what they need just to do is to go back to 2018 script and borrow the blueprints of Croatia. When Croatia had such kind of an experienced team, it did wonders. It actually bolted at the final, which and again experience can bring. And remember, no one had rated them in that particular tournament. We only started talking about Croatia when they had actually eliminated Brazil. Yes. When people realized, wow, we have here the likes of Mandzukic, and they were ready to give gold. So we are really talking of how experience can really make you shine in a certain kind of a tournament.
They're in a very fair group.
But again, but again Hassan, utazingatia kwamba ndio una wachezaji ambao wana uzoefu, lakini mechi hasa za ufunguzi huwa tatizo kubwa sana. Nakumbuka kule Qatar, mechi ya ufunguzi ya Argentina ambao walikuwa na kikosi kizuri sana, walipoteza dhidi ya wenyeji Qatar. Kwa hivyo ndio wana wachezaji ambao wana uzoefu mkubwa, lakini inafaa pia kocha awe makini hasa katika mtindo na ufundi ambao atautumia hasa katika mechi zake za ufunguzi mbili.
Yeah, very very interesting. Kaka, fungua sava tukisonga.
Kabisa 22151. Group A, South Korea. Amesema South Korea tu. Group B, Bosnia, Switzerland. Nafikiria wanavutia sana hao the two teams, Bosnia and Switzerland. Hajasema ni nani, alafu lakini amemalizia kusema champions watakuwa ni Spain, Hispania. Group A,
tuseme amesema You see when we had in 2010,
yes,
the opening match was between Mexico and South Africa. Spain won the tournament. Ni kama anasema itajirudia.
Yeye yako tu pale kwa group A kuna South Korea, group B Bosnia na Switzerland, lakini champions anasema ni Spain. Group A Mexico and South Korea, group B Canada and Switzerland. Huyo ni Peter akiwa Nairobi. Alafu Canada and Switzerland will get past group B. It's young Maani, and then ya mwisho moja South Africa and South Korea will qualify for group A.
Sasa maoni yako ya Switzerland, what are you expecting from them?
I think just like I want to echo the sentiments as Sedo na pia nani that team is well known. Na wewe mwenyewe umetaja kwa nini stats kwamba they are not new to maneno ya World Cup. 13 times is not a joke. It's a team that understands it. The problem is I don't know how they are going to ensure that they are going past the group stages. They can make it in this group because ukiangalia teams zenye wako nazo Qatar, Canada, Bosnia, I think they are better placed kuweza ku top the group because we all know Canada they're not really neno ya mpira sana, hata kama ndio inaanza kushika sasa. Wao walikuwa wanapiga sana zile kina tennis na zile zingine. Sasa ndio mpira inaanza kushika.
Au na watu soaps.
But in that group I think Switzerland is better placed to top the group because of the squad and also how the experience being in the World Cup for many times.
Cedric, Bosnia and Herzegovina, they're here to spoil the party for these the so-called big teams in this squad. And you take a look at, they're going into the tournament, they're carrying one of the most experienced player, Edin Dzeko, into this tournament.
Any team that qualifies to World Cup, I think has what it takes to be there. And it means that in their process to be in the last 48 teams, they did some magic. And that magic was to disappoint other teams before you find yourself there. We might be really forgetting to realize that teams like Italy, which again has commanded World Cup, they are no longer closer to World Cup for almost 2 or 3 eras.
Yeah.
And this tells a story that any team that qualified to World Cup, I'm just like watching the other day our Cape Verde playing their friendly, and they played very well. They won their friendly. That's a statement at it all. So Bosnia being at World Cup is not a pushover. We might be talking about Switzerland simply because we know players there. We have walked their path. We have seen how they are decorated. But then again, as I normally say here, some leagues are commercialized. They are commercialized to sell such kind of player and make money. So it doesn't mean that a league that you don't watch does not present a quality player. Bosnia might be coming to this World Cup with a player that we don't necessarily know, but it might be the tournament for them to shine and surprise so many, and might be a spoiler for Switzerland. They might be spoiler for Canada if they really manage their games well and tactically approaching. I will be reminded, and again in my conversation, that defense wins tournaments. And if Bosnia comes in with good defense to stop Switzerland and to stop Canada, they can as well as advance in that particular group.
Yes, Hassan, you had something that you wanted to say?
No, when he talked of leagues being commercialized, and I was wondering, maybe Arsenal, did they
with the low block?
Win there with the low block? Did they
defense win you win for Arsenal?
Did they decide to win the trophy?
Davis Maria, Qatar. Qatar, are they going to be pushovers or they can actually, get something from Group B?
Qatar ni baadhi ya mataifa ambayo hasa katika milki za Kiarabu watakuwa wanapata ushabiki mkubwa, na ni mara yao ya pili wanafuzu katika kombe la dunia, na ni mara yao ya kwanza wanafuzu moja kwa moja kombe la dunia kwa kutoa jasho uwanjani, si kwamba ni wenyeji. Mara ya kwanza walifuzu kama wenyeji. Kwa hivyo ni mechi ambayo ama ni hatua ya makundi ambayo kocha Lopetegui atakuwa anajaribu sana hasa kuweka historia yake, na ukiangalia katika hasa mechi za kirafiki ambazo wamecheza, 70% ya hizo mechi ndio hawajacheza na mataifa ambayo ni makubwa sana hasa katika chati la ubora wa mataifa ya soka duniani. Wamecheza na mataifa ambayo yapo wastani, lakini matokeo yao yamekuwa ni kwamba kuna mtiririko ambao wanapanda kidogo, wanashinda 2 nunge 3. Kwa hivyo unaonyesha kwamba kuna hasa nafasi kubwa ya kufanya vema katika kombe la dunia. Cha pili ni kwamba ukiangalia timu ambazo ziko hapa, Bosnia, Uswizi, Canada, ni timu ambazo hazieleweki. Manake ukiangalia hasa kiushindani, Canada na Bosnia si mataifa ambayo utayapigia sana upato. Kwa hivyo Qatar naisi kwamba yeye atalenga tu mechi zake hasa za makundi za kwanza 3. Kwa hivyo akitoa alama zake 6 sawa, na kwa ubaya akitoa alama zake 4, kwamba ushindi katika mechi moja na sare moja na sare nyingine hasa moja itampa nafasi ya kupiga hatua.
Nani anatoka kwa hii group, Devi?
Kwa hiyo kundi nahisi kwamba Uswizi na Qatar na Canada. Hapo sasa Canada wana nafasi, wapo nyumbani, lakini Qatar nahisi kwamba itakuwa taifa ambalo litawashangaza wengi katika hili kundi.
Na mimi ningetaka sana kusubiri kuona Qatar kitu ishangaza, kwa sababu they hosted the World Cup in 2022 and na amesema vizuri kwamba ilikuwa imequalify by the virtue of the fact that they were hosting that. But look at how they played in that World Cup. They won no game. They actually were last in that group stage with -6 as goal difference and 0 points. Probably it's because they hosted without playing. Wacha tuone this time now.
Nani anatoka kwa hii group?
Mimi nitatoa moja kwa moja Canada na Qatar.
Nani ndio wana
proceed? Unajua kutoka
no, Karuki.
Yes,
who's proceeding?
Who's proceeding to the next round?
Switzerland and Bosnia.
Sedo,
unajua nasema kutoka. So kutoka nilikuwa nimeshatoa Qatar.
Sedo, who's proceeding?
Definitely Switzerland and Canada will be proceeding this particular group.
Aya, done. Tuweke group A. Tuweke
Bosnia,
group A.
Switzerland.
Bosnia, Switzerland.
Yes.
Tuweke group A. Davis group A. Nani ya qualify? South Africa, South Korea, Czech Republic.
Ni wazi kabisa ni mataifa mawili ambayo yanapiga hatua. Hata wewe mwenyewe unajua. Mexico wataongoza hilo kundi, Korea Kusini watakuja wa pili, na hayo ndio mataifa ambayo yatapiga hatua.
Sedo,
South Korea and Mexico.
South Korea and Mexico. Kaka,
I want to echo the
South Korea, Mexico.
South Korea, Mexico.
Yeah.
Amuoni ni kama Cheko wanaweza
mtu mwenye labda atatu surprise, labda ikuwe South Africa. Kama ni surprise.
Ni vizuri umesema surprise.
Arafa mbili tumalize. Arafa mbili tumalize.
World Cup winners will be Portugal. Cristiano Ronaldo must win it. Mimi nasoma what the server is saying. Hello my big brothers, ni Sharone from Kericho. England watashinda. Okay.
Premier League sikudanganya.
Mimi niko ninasoma matokeo. Group A, South Korea and South Africa. Group B, Canada and Switzerland. Huyo ni agree. Kiwa Kisii, alafu anasema champions watakuwa ni France. Group A, Mexico and South Korea. Alafu group B anasema Canada and Switzerland. Huyo ni Fred Othola from Ahero. Alafu Hero amezimlika Hero. Ni Mike, naomba mtuletee hata mechi moja, hata kama ni ya usiku ama ya mchana. Tutashukuru sana. Qatar did well in last cup and will do Qatar.
Ujumbe wake
sio wako.
Nisome kitu ambacho iko kwa server. Qatar did well in last World Cup and will do the same this year. If that is the well, this year. Okay, Group A, South Africa and Group and South Korea. Group B, Switzerland and Canada. Alafu ya mwisho ni Group A, South Korea. Group B, Bosnia. Alafu Switzerland champions.
Robi, si tupate our viewers swali la kesho.
Swali la kesho.
Today we focus on Group A and B. So obviously tomorrow Group C and D. So which two teams will make it to the next round from Group C and D?
Mapema. Thank you very much, Davis Mbeya, for making time. Cedric Musumba for making time. Of course, Jamaa Sava, that is Daniel Kariuki, as well as Hassan Juma. That is where we wrap up the World Cup show.
England. Sema angalia hawa wanacheka English.
World Cup show this afternoon. We'll be seeing you again tomorrow from 2 to 3 p.m. where we dissect Group C and D. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.